Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another Retro RPG. And this time I'm having a look at Supplement 1 Greyhawk for Dungeons & Dragons. Came out from TSR in 1975. You see, a few weeks ago I had a look through the Blackmore book, Supplement 2 for Dungeons & Dragons. And the reason I looked at that one was it was the first published adventure for any RPG. So I thought that was absolutely fascinating to have a look through. But one of the things that surprised me about that book was how little of the campaign setting. It had lots of extra rules for Dungeons & Dragons and was fleshing it out, which was fascinating, but there was nothing of the Blackmore setting itself. And obviously I've had a look through this ahead of time, and that's what I've been kind of surprised at as well. That for a supplement called Greyhawk, there's nothing of the campaign world Greyhawk, or even a mention of Castle Greyhawk, any of that in here. So I decided to do a bit of digging, because I was wondering why these things were named after famous campaigns, but didn't actually have any of those campaign worlds in it. And it's Gary Gygax again. Because one of the things he didn't believe, one of the reasons why the first published adventures weren't by TSR and weren't standalone adventures, was because he didn't think people would be interested in adventures. And likewise, he didn't think people would be interested in campaign settings. He thought people would want to create their own worlds. So that's why TSR didn't release that kind of information until later. While they named these booklets after their campaign settings, they actually don't contain anything. So we open up by Gary Gygax and Rob Kuntz. So no Dave Arneson in this. Obviously Dave Arneson did Supplement to Blackmore. That was all his work. Illustrations by Greg Bell. This is a 2003 reprint of the 1976 release, the 12th printing. So we've got Men and Magic, characters, determination of abilities, non-player characters, levels and number of experience points to attain them, statistics regarding classes, guidelines for awarding experience points for monster slaying, awarding experience for non-player characters, alternative combat systems with damage by weapon type, damage by monster type, spells table, explanation of spells, monsters, monster descriptions, magical maps, determination value, or table, sorry, explanation of magic items, tricks and traps, monstrous tricks and combination monsters, and monster level tables. And that's it. So we carry on through. And we've got an introduction from Gary Gygax himself, talking about it. The material in Greyhawk is so noted to distinguish new rules, additions to existing rules, and suggested changes. So a lot of this is actually from the original printing of Dungeons & Dragons, where they've tweaked it. So we see lots of things the same. So we've got characters. There are now 4 main classes. Fighting men, including paladins, magic users, clerics, thieves. And we talk through fighting men. Thieves, what their basic abilities are. The standard open locks, remove small trap devices, listen for noise behind closed doors, move with great stealth, filch items and pickpockets, hiding shadows, strike silently from behind, climb nearly sheer surfaces upwards or downwards. Dwarves, elves, half-elves, or hobbits may be thieves. So this is a bit different, because first edition Dungeons & Dragons, the Beckme rules, you had the races as separate classes. So you could be a human fighter, but you could just be a dwarf, because you are only choosing that. But in this one, you can actually choose to be different things. I find the description of elves quite fascinating in here. Elves with 18 intelligence can work as high as 9th level sorcerer magic users. Amongst elves there are clerical types, 6th level bishop. Elf thieves work in all 3 categories. I can't see the exact section, but elves can be fighting men, or they can be sorcerers, and they can flip around between adventures of the same level. So they can be a fighting man one adventure, they can be a wizard the next. Fascinating stuff. So we've got hobbits, half-elves, going through the alignment. So we've just got law, neutral, and chaos. We sketch a carrion crawler, obviously done in sort of pen and paper. Kind of cool stuff. This kind of looks like stuff we would do in our jotters at school. I'm not criticising it. It just brings a smile to my face because it's kind of fun. determination of abilities. So we've got the standard 3 to 18. Now this introduces, this has, I'm not sure that was the introduction of it, but percentile strength fighters. Now this always struck me as slightly odd, that fighters get the ability to not only have an 18 strength, but take it beyond that with our 1850, 1875, 18100 eventually. And that gives them bonuses. But you don't get that for different classes. You know, you don't get percentile dexterity for thieves, allowing thieves to be more dexterous than fighters. You don't get wizards which can have percentile intelligence, allowing them to take their memorization of spells and things further. It just seems very unfair and very biased in favour of fighters. What do we got? The intelligence of magic users and the abilities, you know, percentage chance of knowing spells, minimum per level, maximum spells per level. Very standard. This looks like you would get in any version of the Dungeons & Dragons up until fairly recent ones. And we've got non-player characters and loyalty of them. Levels and number of experience points to achieve them. Again, with level titles. I've always liked that. Makes your characters seem a bit more. But some of these titles are a bit silly. So you've got an apprentice thief, a footpad, a robber, a burglar, a cutpurse, a sharper, a pilferer, a master pilferer, a thief, and a master thief. Wizards just are wizards. Clerics become patriarchs. That's the thieves again. We've got monster hit dice here. Alternate combat system. Different types of weapons working differently against different armor classes. So certain weapons can be better to hit with. Short bows, different types of bows, different weapons types against man-sized and larger opponents. Damage done. So you can. This was something which carried on into second edition Dungeons & Dragons, AD&D, where weapons will do different damage against targets. Now, certain people have commented on my video about the rules breakdown for AD&D second edition that they used to think that it was the creature that was handling the weapon type. But it makes it clear here that it's man-sized opponents and larger opponents. That the weapon does more or less damage. So a little dagger against something like a dragon is barely going to prick it. So will do less damage. But something you can get an absolutely brilliant hit on will do massive damage to a large creature, whereas a smaller creature will be more difficult to hit. So if you're swinging a great axe or something, a smaller creature is more likely to be able to dodge out of the way, whereas a larger creature is going to take that hit. What else we got? Attacks and damage by monster types. Right up to hippogriffs, pegasus, rock. Again, lots and lots of listed monsters here. Beholders, they've got 1 bite, 2 to 5 points of damage plus special. We've got spell tables, so different levels of spells. 4th, 5th, 6th, right up to 9th level spells. We've got the explanation of spells, so just a text description. We've got Charm Person, Sleep, Shield. All spells which sound very familiar. Magic Missile. I don't see Fireball at 3rd level. Was it a different level back then? A Japanese Ogre. We've got things here. Delayed Blast Fireball there. Fireball which can be thrown and timed with regard to its blast. I remember using those in the old Gold Box games. Mass Charm. Power Word Kill. Lots of different spells here. Basically, which I think are laid out in the earlier books, but we'll go back and have a look at them at some point. It's just defining things a bit better. This is an update to Dungeons & Dragons rather than a new addition. They've just fixed some problems, they've fleshed things out. We've got monsters and treasure here, so different types of monsters and what treasure you'll get. We've got the monster descriptions. Humber Hulks, giant ticks, owlbears. Magic maps determination value. So different things you might find. You know, a sword +1 with 2 to 8 wishes. A sword +1 +3 versus dragons. Warhammers, potions, just random things you might locate. So random encounter tables, random treasure tables. I don't know why they've gone with this slightly weird term of determination table. But I guess the better names just hadn't been thought of. Cloaks of protection up to +3, braces of defense, just lots of random magic items, and then descriptions of them. A sword +2, 9 steps draining ability. Appears to be a standard +2 sword, but also drains energy in progressive states from 1 to 9 on any hit of a 20. And the first time a 20 is stored, it will drain 1 level. Up till 9th 20, it will drain 9 levels. Therefore reverts to a normal +2 sword and can never be made anything else. Kind of cool. Holy Sword +5, so the +5 Holy Avenger, which was more common in earlier editions. We've got Vorpal Blades, miscellaneous weapons, miscellaneous magic. It's not labelled as Snake Monster with a sort of Conan hero wrestling it to save the naked lady there. We got different magic items: beanbag, decanter of endless water, javelins of lightning, just lots and lots of magic items. Robes of blending, robe of eyes. I remember having a character with one of those. A book of vile darkness. The deck of many things is in here. We've got a werebear. We've got a description of underworld and wilderness adventures with just certain ideas. Doors which will open for a certain class of player or one alignment. Doors which will open only for monsters. Doors which will open to allow traffic into an area but not out of it. Just ideas for when you're drawing your map, different tricks and tips you can put in there. Quite a nice idea. Animated furniture, different statues, frost giant riding a white dragon. What is this? Oh, just different monsters you might encounter in pairs. So instead of just encountering a white dragon, it might be ridden into combat by a frost giant. A snake which is actually a grey ooze. A giant spider-like black pudding. Monster level tables. More information. An owlbear there. Bugbear, ghoul and friends. Looks like a pumpkin-headed creature. And we've got corrections, as well as the very normal other fantasy releases by TSR. So Monster Manual, Basic Set, Collector's Edition, Outdoor Geomorphs. And that's it. Now, as I said, I was very surprised that this didn't have any campaign setting in there. It doesn't describe the world of Greyhawk. It's just got the name of the campaign that some of these ideas came out of. But it's nice to see where so many ideas came from in early days. Because once we split into the two branches where we had basic Dungeons & Dragons with the BECME set, and then we had Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and 2nd edition, 3rd edition, etc., they started to break the rules down. And it's interesting to see which ones were introduced here, which went on to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and which ones got abandoned for the basic set to simplify things. But there's a whole lot of information in here. It's very an interesting look at the early days of Dungeons & Dragons, where the hobby started off with, and things which are still in the game today. But anyway, I think I've been wittering on for quite long enough as usual, so thank you very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.